Well, that's a tough one to swallow. It truly was the tale of two halves. It was two different football games. Looked like two different football teams Saturday nights, and a loss at Tuscaloosa. It's your postcast. Tennessee falls to Alabama on the third Saturday in October. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into it. This is your Locked On Vols postcast edition. I am Eric Cain. Just, real quick out there, the purpose of this is just to get some of my, unfiltered thoughts out there. This is not a regular podcast form, not 3 segments. Really just going to go about 10, 12 minutes or so. Don't have the background up here if you're watching on YouTube. Don't have all my bells and whistles. In real time, it is 3:09 in the morning. Just got home. I got a full day in front of me, back on the road tomorrow, so I just wanted to get something out there before we have to wait on a Monday Locked On Vols. And trust me, we're gonna uncover every single rock from this football game as well. But bottom line, Tennessee's 34-20 final score, and it sucks. It sucks in that regard because let me see if I can pull up these stats right here. Leaving Tuscaloosa, didn't even get a chance to get a box score, so I'll have to print that one out tomorrow. But this one's unfortunate because, like I said in the cold open, it truly was, the tale of two halves. And that's kind of what I labeled my little graphic when I did that YouTube short on the field after the game, and somebody said, I think that's a horrible caption. What are you talking about? Tennessee was a team that was in control, and not only was it a team that was in control, in my opinion, it was a team that was dominant for a lot of the parts of the first half. I think Tennessee whooped some ass in the first half, to be completely honest with you. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. We'll get into those shortcomings. But offensively, defensively, did some things on special teams. Not only, again, controlled the football game, but I thought Tennessee dominated the football game in a lot of areas. But hey, it's why you go out and play it's why you go out and play 4 quarters. Nobody thought that the game was over with at halftime. I don't think, I know Elijah Herring said something in post game, but I think that's more or less just a young player that's never really talked in front of the media, and not understanding that, kind of what he said, kind of a roll off the tongue comment. People will take it to heart. He did say that something along the lines of, I don't have the quote in front of me, but something along the lines of, the question was kind of what was different first half, the second half, and he said, we just kind of took our foot off the gas, thought you already had the game won. And maybe he truly did mean that. I hope not. I hope that's not the case, but I don't think any media covering it, I don't think fans, I don't think you, I don't think anybody thought that the game was over at halftime, but you thought Tennessee was in really, really good control and had a great opportunity to hold out for 30 more minutes and win this football game. And then it just snowballed, man. After winning the first part of the middle 8, okay, and one of the 2 4 downs that Josh Heupel went for that was inexcusable in my opinion. Joe Milton gets stuffed on 4th and 1 running right. All right. You turn the football over, just a couple minutes left in the half, and you give Alabama a short field. And Alabama marches down, probably about 20 yards or whatever. And then on a 2nd and 7, just outside the red zone, you can take a shot at the end zone. And it's a ball that's really played well by Nico Slaughter at cornerback, who was the cover corner. Played it really, really well. Kind of batted that ball back in. Jalen McCullough caught it into the end zone and had a little touchback. That was a great play. Great play. And so Tennessee not only had the back of its offense, but it not only bent its back, in the red zone, if you will, but it gave the football back to the offense for another opportunity to go and see what you can do. Go and see what you can do, right before the half. And Tennessee marched, I want to say, 80 yards on 10 plays. Took about 3 minutes, a little less than 3 minutes off the clock, and did just that. Went and scored. And it was a beautiful ball from Milton to Castles for the touchdown. Showed some touch on that football. Beautiful ball. And man, that was a really, really good ball. And it was on third and goal to go from the 7. Anyway, Tennessee won the first half of the middle 8, if you will, the first 4, and did a great job. Goes into halftime, with all the momentum in the world, 20-17 or 20-7, excuse me. And then you come out and the defense gives up a touchdown on 2 plays, inexcusable. And then when Alabama kicks it to Tennessee, you have that very confusing play where what's it a fair catch, where it's not a fair catch, who called the fair catch, what's going on. At the time of this recording, again, it's the middle of the night. I'll have to go back and watch the tape. I'll have to ask some more questions. Josh Heupel didn't really seem – Josh Heupel, it felt like in his postgame comments that he knew exactly what it was, and he was okay with it, to be honest, but I'm still very confused about it. What happened on that – that fair catch, non-fair catch, whatever. Well, regardless of what it was, it went from Tennessee getting the ball at the 23 to getting the ball at the 4. I mean, that closes your playbook, guys, and I mean that was awful. So it just went from there, and then Tennessee, gave up a touchdown, and then obviously Alabama came back and took a touchdown lead after Tennessee failed to pick up another 4th down that led to some points. That one led to 7. And, that was another 4th down that was deep in your own territory, and it's kind of inexcusable. Should have punted that ball away. That one led to 7. That was the go-ahead touchdown. And then later on, Joe Milton gets hit from the blind side and fumbles, and it was a scoop and score 24 yards out, and that brought you to the score 34-20 where we kind of parted ways. And I'll need to go back and watch that individual play. I want to see if Joe Milton can do anything better in real time. It felt like that internal clock was tick, 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 get rid of the football. That's kind of how I felt watching that football play. I don't know if he saw him or not. I'll have to go back and watch the tape, but that's kind of where you were. And it's unfortunate because, man, like I said, how I started off this postcast, man, Tennessee was in control. Tennessee did a lot of good things. And it's a shame because you had a quarterback that threw for 176 yards in the first half, 2 touchdowns, completed well over 70% of his passes. You compare that stat line in the first half to what he did all last week against A&M. That's something to celebrate. And then the second half, sure, he wasn't his greatest, but the entire offense wasn't its greatest. I mean, Joe Milton got sacked 3 times in the second half. Tennessee still couldn't run the football at all game long outside of Joe Milton in the run game. I thought he was really, really effective in the run game, but Tennessee couldn't get the run game going with Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, or Dylan Sampson whatsoever. Tennessee lost some one-on-one matchups, had some drops in the second half, started behind the sticks a little bit. The game was already in hand, if you will. Tennessee had already lost the game, and I think that's when they started struggling with the environment. But overall, in the football game, I think Tennessee handled the environment very well. I'll say this, it was not that loud. I mean, it was loud. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It was loud, but Florida earlier this year was louder. Athens was deafening compared to what Alabama was, earlier today. There's been other venues that have been louder than that, but I think Tennessee handled the environment very well. I just think Tennessee did not make adjustments coming out of the break. I think Tennessee obviously took its foot off the pedal. I think Tennessee made self-inflicting mistakes, and I think Josh Heupel, one was in the first half, but the other was in the second half. You're going for 4th down on your own territory. Like, what are you doing? What a mistake. What a horrible mistake. That's bad. And also the officials were horrible in this football game. Not the reason why Tennessee lost the game. And I know Tennessee fans just want blood out there. I get it. It's you want to just yell and be heard and all that, and that's fair. Your team, blew a game. Your team should have won. I understand that. Fan is short for fanatic, so there's frustrated people out there. Officiating was not good. I thought officiating was horrible. There were holds all night long. I mean, you see screenshots on social media. You can pick and choose, some of those holding penalties all game long, some of those tic-tacs like holding and pass interference. If you really look at it, you can call that penalty pretty much every play. But, when you're choking arm around the neck of a defensive lineman coming off the edge, that's holding. And that was not called whatsoever. I think Squirrel White got mauled in the end zone at one point in time. There was a defensive hold that kept Tennessee on the field. Well, when it was supposed to get off the field on the 3rd down. I have to go back and look at that. That was a huge penalty at that point in the game when Alabama was just keep eating clock. So Alabama was penalized 8 times. Tennessee was penalized 8 times. Alabama was penalized 1 time. The least penalized game for Alabama since it was penalized no times since back in 2018. So it was not a good day for the officials. No ifs, ands, buts about it. But Tennessee lost this game. Tennessee lost this game because it got its butt whooped in the second half. Tennessee led 20-7 at half, and was outscored 28-0 in the second half. That's inexcusable. inexcusable, and more so than anything. And I'll write about this, when it goes out of VolQuest.com later today on a Sunday. But you settled for 2 Charles Campbell field goals in the first half, and though you were going up 10-0 and then 13-0, and you're feeling good about yourself, I kept sitting there thinking, like, man, those should have been sevens. Should have been sevens. Don't need to trade 3s for 7s against a good team in Alabama. And Jalen Milroe, who's feeling himself, and Jermaine Burton, who's catching everything here lately. And, when you look at it, that came back to bite Tennessee. Tennessee's not been a good red zone football team. I have the stat, don't have it in front of me, but yet again, Tennessee was horrible in the red zone, scoring 3 of 4 chances, only 1 touchdown, 2 field goals. The other was a turnover on downs later with like 2 minutes left in the game, and Tennessee was trying to score, and it didn't. So Tennessee also was really bad on third downs and 0 for 3 on fourth downs. Tennessee overall, I believe, was 8 of 21 or 8 of 22 on third and fourth down opportunities. Tennessee's one of the worst fourth down conversion teams in America. Went into the game 3 of 10, was 0 for 3, so now 3 of 13 on the season. That was 120th in the nation going into the weekend, and you're 0 for 5 on fourth downs in the last 2 weekends. Again, we'll get into the stats. We'll continue to break it down. We'll continue to talk about it. We'll go look at Joe Milton, who I thought played a really solid game. Thought he came out and ran well. Thought he came out and started the football game well. Are there throws he wish he could have back? Absolutely, especially in the second half. The scoop and score, that's a turnover. Again, we're talking about turnovers. It's another turnover for Joe Milton in SEC play. But he did a lot of positives tonight that I think that if you're a Tennessee fan, you should feel good about moving forward. And sure, there's Tennessee fans that say, well, season's over. Play Nico. I mean, I hear you. Tennessee's not going to Atlanta this year, but they're not eliminated yet. But in my opinion, Tennessee's not going to Atlanta this year. But Joe Milton did some things. Joe Milton did some things in this football game that you should feel good about, honestly. We'll continue to break it down on Monday. We will look at every single part of this football game. We'll hear scoring plays courtesy of the Vol Radio Network. We'll do Cain stats and grades. Some more notes that I found from my rewatch. We'll see what Pro Football Focus has to say, all that and more on a Monday Locked On Vols. Disappointing. It is disappointing. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Tennessee should have won this game. Tennessee was in control, and I picked Tennessee to win this game, and I was sitting there feeling pretty in the first half because Tennessee was dominating that football game. But you got to play 4 quarters, and unfortunately, Tennessee did not play 4 quarters. I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say at _Cain or at Locked On Vols. We'll see you on Monday, guys. We'll continue to recap it. Tennessee falls 34-20. This is your postcast, Locked On Vols.